And this is actually really,
Right.
man, that's really good quality on there.
What you talking about?
The Twitch, the Impact is pretty good.
Oh, you say the Impact stream on Twitch, you like that?
Yeah, it's man, it's good quality.
Well, that's I guess a lot of people gonna use it because a lot of people don't. They either don't have access or they don't know how the hell to get it on their TV. So
And that,
I'm
most
fortunately,
people,
yeah. Let's go
yeah,
ahead.
most
Go ahead.
people aren't gamers. Yeah, most people aren't gamers, so it's like, eh. But I went
But
on there and
there
I was
may
like,
be more people. There may be more people who are gamers who than people who know about access TV.
yeah.
I
It
don't
was like,
know,
oh, we
but
should go in there.
yeah, because if you're a person, 'cause a lot of people, especially with what's happened this year and more streaming, live streaming now than ever. We're a byproduct of that. More
Yeah,
streaming. Twitch has sort of got more in the mainstream. When you think of how entertainers are using it for platforms and stuff, wrestlers and stuff. That's a big issue with the WWE and everything. But Twitch has sort of gotten off a little bit, So I might check it out too. I haven't been a Twitcher yet. I've been a tweaker, but
yeah,
I haven't been a Twitcher. But
yeah. It's pretty.
nah, but
I mean, if you're casual, actually, I would recommend if you're looking to like for a video game, that like if you're
yeah,
interested, instead of going on YouTube, I would go on Twitch and just watch
get a
the game
review.
and tutorials
Like
and stuff like
yeah,
that.
oh
Because
yeah,
that's literally
that makes sense.
right there.
Yeah, I used to watch that G4 channel a lot, and that's
Yes.
another thing you can tie into wrestling now because they're gonna be working with Xavier Woods. So
Yeah.
it's wild how wrestling is sort of invading everything right now.
Man, it's you know what? I would say wrestling is what baseball was like 50 years ago. That's how I would
Really,
put it. It's Americans apple pie. That's how I would see it.
out
It's just
well, it is something that you get a cross section of everybody who's interested in. Yeah,
yeah.
that's more. Yeah, you could say that more with wrestling than with just about any other major sport or entertainment source. Like with other areas, you can sort of design the fan bases a little bit. Like well, probably
Yeah.
football, you could probably compare to wrestling, the NFL.
Yeah.
Everybody watches the NFL, but like with the NBA, it's more like an urban type of thing. Oh, we got a thing already. Do you think WAP can save wrestling? I don't. WAP can save a lot of things. I don't know if it can save wrestling.
Man,
Steven
that's
Cycle.
man,
Thanks for
that's
the
a
thanks for
yeah,
the comment.
that's man, that's
I
a
don't know if you're being
random
funny or not. Yeah,
but man,
I don't know
that's
if
a
you're being
random
funny or not. I think
man, you
I
better
think WAP can save wrestling. Yeah,
yeah, it
it
could save a
saved
lot of
me on a
things.
couple of occasions. Yeah, it saved me on a couple of occasions.
Oh my god,
Is,
that's
is he? He can't be talking about that, or is he talking about something else?
I man, I I,
What would WAP be besides what I'm thinking of?
and I'm thinking the same thing you're thinking.
Yeah, I
So it
know. Yeah. This is a great way to start off. This is a
yes,
great way to start off.
yes,
But
yes,
let's talk about what Mike could save wrestling for real. And the main reason why we're here right now is looking forward to this Kenny Omega segment that's going to be on Impact. And I know, like, starting back from when it happened last Wednesday when we first found out about, that this whole thing was real. This cross promotion thing with AEW and Impact. You was excited from the beginning. You watched it live. Like, what did you think about that moment when it happened and how it laid out? And how what do you think about how this week has gone in the way that they sort of taken the promotion to the social media streams and they've They're building it up this week, and it looks like they're going to try to have the biggest Impact show at least since it's been on like Spike back in the day when it used to be able to draw 1 million a week and stuff. Since then, it hasn't been popping like that too much, and they're in a good place right now though, where they're sort of settled on access, and they got some good talent and stuff there. You know, I've been checking them out every now and then. And I know they got Rich Swann as the champion. They got some interesting people over there. They brought in some people from the WWE who were dissatisfied, the Good Brothers, and people like that. What's my man name? He changed his name. Used to be Kurt. Was it Kurt Hawkins? Yeah, he used to be in the WWE. So they brought in some more distinguished people who we know from WWE, and they've been doing some things. They've also been doing some funny things too. I don't know if I'm gonna get into. They had some sort of
it's an acquired
murder
taste.
mystery. Yeah, they had some sort of murder mystery thing on there. I was like, I don't know what that's about, but they're pulling off this big thing tonight. They're trying to. Do you think it's like I said? What do you think about what's happened this week? Do you think it's going to make a difference with Impact? And does Impact getting this love and this rub? Is it going to make a difference for wrestling as a whole?
Well, I know in the moments leading up to the turn, which they've labeled it on being the elite and everything, the heel turn of Kenny Omega. For me, it was like a typical match. But then when Don Callis went to the ring and everything went through, I was like, okay, I kind of knew it was going to be a screwy finish. I was anticipating the Young Bucks helping them and, them three turning heel and stuff like that. But then when Callis helped them and then they started running through the back, and then when Alex Marvez like, hey, what's going on here? Oh, you'll find out on Tuesday. Wait a minute, Dynamite's on Wednesday. No, Tuesday on Impact Wrestling on Access TV. Was like, yo. I was surprised, but I wasn't surprised. Not so much in a bad way, because they've been hinting towards this. Actually, it's one of the many hints that they've been given for like the last 3 months, with as far as referencing other promotions. Callis was
because they mentioned him on the show before.
Yeah. So it was like, okay, he's there, but then it was like, yo, wait a minute, they're working together. And I mean, ever since then, like everybody, I mean, that Dynamite show was trending till 3 a.m. It helped a lot when Sting debuted.
Sting played a big part in it too.
So I mean, this angle, I was listening to oh my God, I just saw it right now. It was a podcast that the Young Bucks just did with an affiliate of John Alba. He's a local sports reporter in Orlando and stuff like that. And they mentioned that this is just more putting your toe in the water. But this story's got some big surprises coming down. So when they said that, I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting. And it didn't cross my mind, once everything transpired till like maybe that Saturday or Sunday. I was like, wait a minute, Kenny Omega's the heavyweight champion. The Bucks are the AEW champs. Kenny's the AAA champion. Don't forget that.
That's right.
And the Good Brothers are the Impact champions. And I'm like, all those guys are Bullet Club. And I'm like, yeah, they're going to go there. And I'm like, yep, they are going to go there. And not to mention, Moxley is the IWGP US champion. Serena Deeb. Yeah. So Serena Deeb, who's an AEW wrestler, is an NWA women's champion. So you have the AEW, NWA, IWGP, and Impact all together.
And you mentioned Moxley. Isn't Moxley beefing with in IW in New Japan? Is he beefing with Kenta?
Yeah, Kenta's been calling them out, but of course, with the pandemic, or as what culture calls it, the global bastard. It's hard to put that match together because flying restrictions and the whole COVID restrictions and stuff like that. So of course, the banter back and forth and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, people just started tweeting about dream matches and stuff like that.
But the reason I bring up Kenta though, Kenta's Bullet Club, ain't he?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the whole, like, it's like the initial. It's, man, this storyline's almost like a Game of Thrones, and it's funny because we had this conversation through text about it, and I broke it down on the wrestling talk podcast that I was on Sunday, and I told them basically the meaning behind Winter is Coming is that in the first season, all the kingdoms align themselves together to take down the Ice King. It's like, kind of similar. Yeah. So it's like, it's kind of similar to what they're doing in wrestling. So yeah, I mean, it's this whole storyline with Omega going to Impact. It's like, oh man, Impact and AEW's working together, but then it's like you got to think deeper. It's like, wait a minute, Moxley's still the IWGP champ, and Serena Deeb is the NWA champ. So it's like we got two other promotions that are eventually going to make their way into this relationship, this partnership and stuff like that. Which, I mean, let's face it.
Let's be. I'm gonna be the responsible host here, and
okay.
As much as I like what you're saying, and it's great. It's great booking. It's great fantasy booking. We don't know these things to be occurring yet. Well, all we know right now is that AEW and Impact got something going on. There's been talk about AEW and New Japan, and of course we know the ties that there's been throughout the years. Like me and you was talking on text before, like you said, all this that's happening right now dates back to Don Callis helping set up a match in New Japan between Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega. That essentially set off this whole chain of events. Yeah, that's led to AEW exist, which has meant a lot in the past year and a half to seeing all these different things go about in wrestling. So there's a good chance that we could have this multi-promotion alliance that really brings about these dream matches and dream events to come. But all we know right now is that Impact and AEW has a loose arrangement, and what we're going to see tonight hopefully will forward that in a way to where we can really begin to dream. But we got to see. There's still a lot that's going to be restricted right now. Like you say, travel issues between Japan and US, and business stuff overall. I think it's been amazing to me how open Tony Khan has been. It's not surprising because we know that he and they, the AEW, they've been doing business a lot different than WWE. But at the same time, when you look at stuff traditionally in the wrestling game, they're giving away stuff that's you don't normally see be given away or be worked with in the way that they've done. Like they're putting their champion on another promotion show, and this is his first appearance since winning that title on AEW. So his first promo is not on AEW as AEW champion. It's not going to be on AEW. It's going to be on Impact. Like you can't ever imagine Vince McMahon doing it. Not at all.
You couldn't. And that's, I believe it's been 40 years. When I posted something about, could this be leading to All Into on my Instagram and everything? And someone commented like the last time something like this happened with Omega, with a champion going and a rival promotion champion fighting was like Dusty Rhodes and Bob Backlund in like in the 70s.
Yeah, because Dusty was like NWA champion, right?
Actually, no, he was either NWA or Florida Championship Wrestling. Because what's ironic is that Vince Sr. was on the board of the NWA committee, which selected the NWA champion. This is Vince Sr. This ain't Vince McMahon and everything.
Vince McMahon's dad, not the
So Vince Sr., what he would do, since he had the New York market and the territory system, he would bring the champions from different territories to fight against his champion. And, when you study that history, it's like, man, that's actually a pretty dope concept, because he's like, I'm in New York, I'm in the biggest market. If I bring these guys here and give them this, exposure, it helps my business, but it also gives you guys exposure, because now you can go back. Yeah, I went to New York and fought this guy and they brought me in. It's just great promotion and stuff like that.
But that's how the whole business at that time, that's how the business sustained itself, because everything was regional. You had all these regions, they built up their other guys, and because they could only fight in these regions for whatever reason, they eventually got it looks like the show's coming on. Oh, you seen it already? Okay.
Yeah,
you may be a bit ahead of me. Yeah, you may be a bit ahead of me. But
yeah, I'm peeping a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people who see this probably know a lot of the history, but yeah, that's how things work. Regional people got built up regionally into stars, and they traveled into other regions to promote themselves and promote their promotions, because eventually you get tired of seeing the same guy in Florida every week. You have a show with the same guy.
It's basically what we're seeing now.
Yeah. So it's like that on a smaller sense. You see the same guys in every promotion, but you got to, because they had these networks, and the NWA built itself up as a network of promotions who worked with each other. They were allowed to make stars in one region and bring them to another region to make them into bigger stars, and they would have a Dusty Rhodes face of Ric Flair from one region to another region, and it would become these super shows, and that's what the business built itself up until you got to like a Starrcade in the early '80s, where it was
or a super show at like Shea Stadium or something like that.
Yeah, super show. Yeah, these were these super shows, like you say, that where you had these dream matches, like Larry Zbyszko and all these type of people who you would only see in one region. You get to see them on a national level. But now you got it where you got people you can see on a national level, and or an international level, but you can see them. You only see them on one station. Now we're seeing a guy like they're showing footage now from TNT on Access. Like this is the type of stuff we hadn't seen literally since WWE took over. WWF at the time took over WCW, and you had the cross airing on TNT and USA, and that was the wildest thing ever at that point.
No, I was like, what?
But now you're right, yeah.
This is legit. Yeah, so the reason why I bring up the whole Bullet Club thing, if you listen to Tama Tonga's if you listen to Tama Tonga's podcast, he had the Gallows and Anderson on there, and he basically said he's like, someone put in the question like like most podcasts now, they submit a question like, are Gallows and Anderson Bullet Club? He's like, they never left, they've always been Bullet Club. He's like, when their contract's up in Impact, they know where to go, they know where to come. So it's you not only do you have these, us as fans, we can see the connection, but these wrestlers with their podcasts, they're dropping like teases. So it's just like,
and this
is good.
It's media that they control. Like and you mentioned too, like being the elite earlier. That's something that group controlled. That was once a subgroup within Bullet Club. Yeah. But they used that to be the group that built AEW, and they're still doing that. Like, even if AEW closed up shop tomorrow, which it's not, of course, but even if it closed up shop tomorrow, those guys could continue being the elite, literally, if they wanted to. And the Bullet Club is its own thing. The Bullet Club has had its own merch, its own existence outside of whatever promotions that is involved with it, and that's truly the case, as you say. Because a Tama Tonga could look at the Good Brothers, Gallows and Anderson, and say, yeah, they haven't left us. We've done no. There's been no storyline. There's been no type of ritual, anything that's happened in ring where we said those guys were gone. So they were Bullet Club when they were in Japan. They were Bullet Club when they were in WWE. But this is where I'm getting to now. The failure was on WWE for capitalizing on it. They tried to pussyfoot around it and do the club stuff.
Yeah, it's like, huh?
It's like it's such ego, man, and the ego thing that trips you up, man. If you're Vince, like, you should be like, okay, let me get in on this. Instead of being prideful and being like, well, I didn't create the Bullet Club.
Yeah, so be more like his dad.
Right. At the same time, for years, half of your audience has come to the shows in Bullet Club t-shirts.
Hey, yeah. I went to a WWE event with the Gorillas of Destiny shirt and had it like this.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on, man.
I've been to NXT shows and stuff, and they've been that's half of what you see there is Bullet Club shirts. Like, you might as well just acknowledge that shit and let it be part of your show.
Just let it play.
How much dope would have, like, we could have already had stuff like this for years, because when you had, but see, this is another part of it too, though. But in the WWE, you had AJ Styles, you had Prince Devitt, who's now Finn Balor.
Yep.
They allude to him being Prince now.
I know.
He's really where Bullet Club started. You had him, you got Adam Cole, who became in NXT. So you had all of the leadership of the Bullet Club in WWE. You had the Good Brothers. All you had to do, like,
just put them together.
Just put them together, yeah. And you could have been like, look, this is a group that started in Japan, but we're here now, so we're going to rep our set. And you could have done so many things from that, but they didn't. But the one thing that you do have to fear, though, is that they would have made them eventually look weak. Because anything
they bring in, they water it down.
That was built up from outside, And a prime example of that is Sting. Sting, he goes there after 15 years of playing outside, and because he was the WCW icon. Then that broke off, and then he said, "No, I'm not going to WWE. I'm going to TNA." He plays out his career there, and everybody's like, "Man, we still want to see Sting in WWE." They finally make it happen. They knock it off the first couple times that he show up. Like, what happened last week? Like, how would you compare that to how he premiered in WWE? Because we premiered in WWE, that was at Survival Series.
Yeah,
I think it was like 15 or something.
14.
And that was kind of 14. Okay, that was kind of cold too, man. He comes out. And the great thing about that was that he came up and got in Triple H's face right away. So that was kind of colder to me than what he did the other day, because he didn't what he did the other day was great, but there was no action to it. And all he did was he got into Cody's face, he got into Darby Allin's face, and he was like, okay, I'm here now. But back when he did his first thing with the WWE, he was ready to go. He was like, okay, I'm taking on Triple H. I'm doing the back DDT, and I'm out. It was more gangster to me back then, but it didn't end well. And he had the match against Triple H at Mania that he should have won, but they didn't give him.
Don't remind me of that. Oh, that was so stupid.
And they wind up having him. They were starting to give him some momentum again. They put him into a championship match with Seth Rollins, and then they make him do the buckle bomb. And it's like, come on, man, dude is 60 years old.
Exactly. What
You
the hell
can't
is
do a
you?
book, Bob.
Yeah,
It,
the
it,
the appearance from when Sting did debuted in WWE, it was it was you kind of like, oh my god, it's finally happened. But it was kind of like you kind of expected it because he already did the WWE 2K15 commercial back in July of that
yeah,
year.
they gave it
So it's
away
like
with all that.
you, yeah. So you were anticipated with this one in AEW. For me, it's actually better because you didn't expect it. Like that was when the lights hit. I was like, okay, this is probably a new wrestler, indie wrestler.
Part of why you don't, part of why you
Yeah,
don't
it's like,
expect it because
yeah, it was like, oh, but then it was
he's
like, wait a minute, what Sting? What? You know, man. And I think what was cool about it, and Bubba Ray Dudley broke it down on Busted Open Radio, and he said what was cool was that the first person he went to was Arn Anderson. Like, yeah, I know we got history.
that's right.
I don't trust you. I don't. Yeah, okay. Then he walked over to Dustin. Was like, yeah, you know, I was your partner when you first broke in. I remember you. Then he went to Cody. Like, yeah, I know I was your favorite wrestler. This, and then walking to Darby. And for me, that like really like, yo, this is dope because that was like the rub that they talk about, where Darby Allin was more over at that moment than any time before. Because it was, if you notice, the camera was longer on him and Darby, the interaction. Like they were just going back and forth with their. It was like, ooh, and then he did his
So
signature Sting thing.
you think the story that they're going to tell is going to center around Sting and Darby?
You know what? It might be, but what I think that they really um, capitalized on with his debut is, and it's something that WWE missed on, is that the Sting that we're seeing that we saw in AEW, this takes it back to Sting of 1997, where he didn't do nothing. He didn't wrestle nobody for a whole year. Didn't say nothing. He just walked in, did his thing, walked out. So I think that's something that's key, that they kind of recaptured that essence, that mystique of Sting, that he's that a vigilante that just don't say nothing, walk in, walk out. And I mean, let's face it, the dude was trending till 3 a.m. It's like a 61-year-old dude with face paint didn't say nothing in the
That's
ring,
amazing.
and he's trending. Like, man,
Yeah.
but it's old school. Less is more.
Right. Well,
so I mean,
you mentioned the '97 storyline with him stalking the NWO and eventually going at it with Hogan. Like that was one of the best things that they did in the '90s and all that. You know, he was in his prime then. He was the icon. But I would say they may want to have him sit for a year and not do anything because he's 61 years old.
yeah.
So you can't just throw him out the ring. If they got to find a way for him. Yeah, they got to find a way to make him relevant and to make him draw without really doing much with him because they can't do much with him physically.
Yeah.
So
well, I get what
you're saying. Like as far as the surprise of it, because they utilized the mystique, and they didn't telegraph their move like WWE did, but at the same time, WWE, like he lost so much from that time. It's like I'm wondering, like, just how effective is he going to be beyond coming in the ring and staring at people? Because he's got to do more than that eventually, and you gotta draw something from him beyond that. Because as great as last Wednesday was, you got to keep it moving. You got to build on it, and that's why tomorrow is going to be so important. What is he going to say? Where are they going to
be stacked? That show's going to be stacked.
So
you got Sting speaking. Then you have, who else? You got Omega saying something. And then they announced it. This is so funny. They broke the news as soon as Raw went off the air that they're going to have Shaq on Dynamite.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, what? And that's on top of the Eddie Kingston, the family Death Triangle feud. What else? The Young Bucks.
Yeah, they have the big thing with the Inner Circle tomorrow too.
Yeah, that man. What's crazy is that whole thing with Sting and AEW and Impact was so overshadowing that people forgot that like you had all these other storylines going on in AEW. Like you're like, oh yeah, we got like
See, that's good.
that's good
That's like
storytelling.
a '90s. Well, I don't know, man. I think it may be a little bit too much at once, but
Well, you know what? We haven't seen it in like 20
that's
years.
sort of like the late '90s. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's sort of like the late '90s too, where you had like on both shows on Raw and Nitro, you sort of had several storylines all bumping into each other. And they were, you know, I'm looking to see how they handle all this stuff, but they're going at it. Yeah, they're going at it right now, and
Man, it's fun.
Good to see. Yeah, it's good to see. It gives you something to talk about. You know, it gives you something to grab onto with each show. You know,
man, people have been talking about this for the whole week. Nothing on social media. I'm like, man, they really hit something here. And one thing that I noticed was like more people were talking about that than NXT War Games. Like they just kept on talking about it. Man,
I want to talk about War Games in a minute, but but go ahead. They did it has overshadowed it a bit. Like
and it's not saying like, oh, they're smarter than WWE, but let's face it, the WWE has kind of been condescending towards its fan base for like over 12 plus years. You know, these are the storylines you're going to get, and that's it. You know, there's no competition but us. We're the ones who own professional wrestling, and I always go back to when CM Punk left in Royal Rumble in 2014. Like that moment, that's what kind of like the little crack that led to this, formation and stuff like that. And I just read an excerpt from podcast.
Well, I'll say what really formed the crack to me. I told this to you in the minds on our text is like it was releasing Cody, and
yes,
the Punk didn't help, but
and that was after that, so it kind of like sped up the process.
Yeah, they released the one guy in that whole generation who had not only the creative mind, but the entrepreneurial mind and the legacy going back to what his dad did. He was the one guy, because Dustin didn't even show that. It took Cody to be out for Dustin to jump on it too. But and they had released Dustin a couple times before then, and he didn't come up with anything on his own. But the one guy of his generation is Cody. There's actually the only other guy who they released. They actually released another guy who had the same mind, and that was Jeff Jarrett. But he's of the previous generation. But of that generation, that young generation that they were supposed to be lifting up and promoting within WWE, he was the one guy who they totally slept on.
Yeah, they didn't see. They're like, we don't see you as top guy. Like we see you like as a mid card, but we don't see you as a heavyweight. And looking back, it's like,
they expected. You know what they expected? They expected him to be like, okay,
like go out on
the Indies. No. Go out on the Indies for a couple of years, and you'll see how good you have it here. And then you'll come back. Nah, he was like, no, screw that. I'm gonna go out on the Indies, an even bigger star, and then I'm gonna get on with these boys. I'm gonna get on with the best stars in the Indies and in Japan, and then we gonna come back and bring our own thing here to America. And that's when you talk about the arrogance. That was the primary arrogance right there. And it allows something to build within the business to where we actually have something like competition again. And
and it's
sort of a good thing. It's definitely a good thing, and it's sort of a good thing. It's the only good thing that's been a byproduct of WWE's arrogance. But go ahead.
Yeah, what's crazy is that with all this is happening, and I was telling this on the podcast I was on Sunday, is that WWE, like, of course, the number one question, should WWE be concerned? Me being a wrestling fan for over 30 years, they need to be very concerned, because you're not, if this formation and this coalition of, mind you, AAA, NWA, Impact, New Japan, you could throw in Ring of Honor and MLW, if they're together, and let's say I'm a guy in WWE who isn't getting pushed, am I going to stay in WWE, or am I going to go with these 5 promotions that are working with each other? And I'm going to be fresh going around. So it's very attractive.
Yeah,
it's very attractive.
Very so. And it goes back to primarily, like you say, how is the talent feeling about their situation? Let me see. What did you just see?
The Tony Schiavone and Tony Khan commercial.
Okay, let me.
I think I'm ahead of you.
I turned away because of you are. You are. I know you are, but I turned away from the commercials. I didn't know that they were doing anything interesting.
Yeah, they're promoting Dynamite on the Impact Wrestling. That's man,
see it now.
This is crazy.
See, and this is what you get. But see, the thing with WWE, they feel that they don't need to work with anybody to promote themselves.
They want to own everybody.
They work with networks. They're not going to work with, like cross promoting for them is promoting SmackDown on USA.
Yeah,
that's cross promoting for them. It's not working with other promotions, and that's to their. I mean, they built themselves up to that level where they could think like that, but it's also small thinking. So it's like,
this is crazy that they're. Yeah. I'm looking at the card and they're running down the Dynamite card on Impact. That's
Well, see,
that's old school.
And that goes back to what I said. Like you got your title, your champion doing his first real promo as your champion on another channel, on another show. So you better get something like this out of it. You better be able to run down your whole card for Wednesday night. If you're going to work with me like that, you better be able to let me do that.
And what's the
so it makes Tony Khan and them look more business savvy than they would look otherwise.
What's interesting about this is, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier, that during this time you really have to pay attention to the podcast that these wrestlers are on and what they tweet, because man, they're dropping teasers like, man, it's like
you get a lot out of it.
This is good. Yeah, like Nick Aldis, the NWA champion. Yeah, Nick Aldis, the NWA champion, when Thunder Rosa appeared on Dynamite, he's like, yeah, the NWA is open for business. And I'm like, this is gonna get good. This is gonna get good. Tama Tonga.
I hope they follow through. Like they're teasing, they're teasing it, but I hope they'll follow through.
I think what's gonna happen, and I said this on Sunday, is right now they're not gonna go full like, we're gonna bring in everybody right now. I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna slow build to March, April, where things are gonna start accelerating like mid February, because they're gonna want to really have this thing accelerated right around WrestleMania. Because if they can pull the trigger on the Bullet Club by WrestleMania, that's gonna. Nobody's gonna be talking about the main event.
You don't want to do, that's important, Mania, of course, but you don't want to do all this stuff while there's still no crowds either.
Well, here's the thing: we also got to remember that with everything going on with the COVID, and there's already talk about a vaccine and everything. And Tony Khan, being an owner in an NFL team, he's kind of in that lieu of like what's really going on as far as, what's the real timetable as far as fans within an NFL stadium, which correlates, if people can, if NFL stands can, stadiums can have, maximum capacity, then, it's pretty much, these stadiums, these arenas are going to have them and stuff like that. So I think that's how the storyline is going to be played, more so when they can get closer to a full arena and stuff like that.
I've heard you mention that. I don't think that the McMahons lack any plug in that arena either, because they're still connected to. Yeah, they're connected to the old guy.
Yeah,
they're connected to the old guy, but they still got their business interests. They pretty much can do whatever they want in Florida.
Yeah,
but if Florida's open for business anyway, so I mean they're going to be in the freaking. They're going to be in the freaking Tampa Rays stadium for the next.
They better hope the power don't go out, because I was reading stories that a few Tampa Bay Devil Ray games mid game the power went out, and I'm like, ooh, they better hope the damn power don't go out during a Raw or SmackDown.
That's happened before with the two. That's happened a couple times with the powers went out.
Oh man, that's bad. That's bad.
They just gonna front and act like it's retribution again. That's what they gonna do.
Oh God, don't get me started on retribution. That angle. Oh my God, like how?
But yeah, I'm not gonna talk about retribution. I'm not. It's a shame. It's a shame that they thought that was gonna be the savior for Mustafa Ali too. It's like you can't do anything better with that dude, man. Come on. But I want to talk. I want to go ahead.
Yeah, you can't get a group over when one of the or two of the members' name is Slapjack and T-Bar. You're not gonna get.
I don't know what they would. It's like you don't have. You got to get some. All the money and resources you got, man. You can't get some. You gotta get some people to help you out with these names, like these gangster names. Whatever they try to do, something that's gangster or sort of a edgy street or something like they. It always goes back to what it's like. It's like Vince is like Biden. Like Biden's idea of a street character is corn pop. That's what their generation is. They still think about some jive street character named Corn Pop or Snapchat like this.
Now what's sad is
that's a scary dude to them,
Yeah, like the Urban Dictionary name behind those names, and it's just like you guys couldn't Google like the meaning of this name.
They don't have any idea about the Urban Dictionary.
It's like the 40 writers that are in the creative meeting. You have a laptop. You couldn't Google the damn name.
Well, see, that's the thing. Those dudes probably do know. They probably did know those definitions. Yeah. They slipped them in there like it. Vince ain't gonna know what this means. Yeah. Let's call the next wrestler the Stranger.
Oh my God, the Stranger, or what was one that someone said? Call him the brake pad.
Yeah,
the rotor, the spark. They already got a spark plug. The remote starter. It's like it's cheesy.
Yeah,
oh my God.
But I want to talk.
Thank God for this angle. Thank God for this angle.
Well, I think you're much more of a negative WWE guy than me, but I think the thing is you can be just. If WWE is not giving you what you want from them, then of course, this is great that this stuff is happening, that you have an option. The thing is, WWE is big enough to where if all you did watch was some combination of SmackDown, Raw, and NXT, I think NXT would be important. If you're a real wrestling person, NXT. You have to watch NXT if you're going to watch WWE program.
Yeah.
And I think the show that they put on this past Sunday, I think was a good show. But like you said earlier, they don't. NXT struggles, and this is what I'm talking about. This is what something I want to get up with in regards to the whole WWE AEW competition. Like WWE messed up by making NXT it swore to fight AEW.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
again, NXT is the only thing that you got that can actually rival AEW in regards to quality of wrestling, of storytelling and the athleticism and stuff like that. So when you put that next to AEW and you're making yourself look like a lesser version of AEW instead of competing with the big star. You should be competing with big stars and big angles, and you should be doing that on Monday and Friday. But the stuff that you put on Monday and Friday don't compare to what's going on Wednesday. So you're not making yourself into the suitable competition that you think you are. All you're doing is making people, giving them a better chance to ignore the people on Wednesday who you should be promoting and making into the next stars of the WWE. So I look at people like Undisputed Era. Undisputed Era could be again, for one, they could be aligned with the Bullet Club because again, you got Adam Cole involved in it. But they have to do all these great War Games matches and stuff, and they gotta make someone like Pat McAfee
gimmicks
into a legit. But they made him into a legit heel, and it is a gimmick, definitely. But they made him into a legit heel, which shows how good of workers they are. It's like if you could make Pat McAfee into a legit heel, then you're doing something.
Did you see Punk's tweet about that?
I've heard that I didn't see exactly, but I've heard that he's been complimentary.
Yeah, he basically said every wrestler there should be ashamed that Pat McAfee comes off the street and delivers a better promo than you guys that have been there for years. And that's my issue with NXT, and it's more what they presented earlier. Because I remember, a good friend, God rest his soul, KG, and Elliot from Logic Radio. They put me on NXT, and I was like, man, this is really good. But then, at that time, it was always presented as a developmental brand. But now, we're going to go live on Wednesdays and compete with AEW. And I'm like, okay, is this a development brand or a third brand? So it's like, when it's convenient, when they win, oh, we're the third brand. When they lose, oh, I'm a development brand. And it's like, come on, man. Like, make up your... Because, I've always tweeted, I'm like, those wrestlers there are awesome. The way they're putting these damn wrestlers in these storylines are stupid. Like, it's like, come on, man. If you look at the the pacing, and this is something you've probably seen me mention a lot in my reviews that I was doing. There's no fans, so you got to pick up the pace. Like, enough of these, on Raw and SmackDown, it's more prevalent. The talking is like, no, you have to pick up the pace. Like, the hell I want to watch people talk. It's like, I got CNN and Fox News for that. What do I want to watch people talk for? It's like, come on, man, just accelerate. And then in NXT, they don't talk, but then it's just like, okay, they're fighting, but okay, who's the standout character? Like, who's like, okay, what's
it's a delicate balance, man.
And it's
because you got to spend time. You got to spend time to get these characters over, but you don't want them droning on and on like you say what they do on Raw and SmackDown, especially Raw, because Raw is just too long of a show. It should not be as long.
Man, but one of the issues I see with the two Raw and SmackDown, and it's more on SmackDown. Like, I love the heel turn of Roman Reigns. I love it. But the only downside to it that I see that could be a problem like 6 months from now is that most of the people that they can have go against Roman, he went through them already. Like, you could have had Shinsuke fight against him, but you put Shinsuke so far down. Like, if he fights Roman, it's not, it's
real dude.
It's like, come on, man.
They always put down the real dudes. The real dudes, the dudes who should be get that push. They push them back.
And I'm like, oh.
It don't make sense. But
So
again, though, like I said, again, it goes back to what we was talking about earlier about cross promoting and doing and being able to put different stars in different areas. Like they should be doing that really with NXT. NXT should always, like, my thing really is that the champions in each promotion should be able to go wherever they want and pick fights with whoever they
that's
want.
how it was before.
And that way you can have, like, you could have had a Keith Lee when he was champion. You could have had him go against Roman Reigns, or you could, or the stuff that they had. Look, the match that the best match of November arguably was Roman against Drew McIntyre.
That was with
no story, no promotion to it. Like, because like you said, the stuff they were doing two different things on their shows. They ran them together for 2 weeks. Like they had the SmackDown before Survivor Series where they had the signing and I think Drew had a match on SmackDown, and then he beat Jay Uso, and then he was able to stun on Roman a little bit, but then they came back at him on Survivor Series. And like you said, it was a great match on Survivor Series. That shows what happens when you build up guys right. They spent 2020 building up Drew. They the last 3 months they finally got Roman right. And they put them together, and they had a cold ass match.
Look at Keith Lee.
Yeah,
like he's not the guy. Yeah, it's like, oh my god, it's like, how do you screw up something like he was already over? Like all you had to do was keep his music the same and just bring him out. That's it. But there's 50 booking. Yeah,
he was over at NXT, and then they bring him up to Raw and they have him beat Randy Orton one time and then nothing. Like,
and
if you have a guy like that, man, it's like all they got to do is look back to 30, 40 years of promoting guys, and they have so many examples that they could draw from to be like, okay, this is how we get a guy over. But it seems like they don't even, not only do they pay attention to what works now, they don't even pay attention to what worked in the past.
For them, it's like you got a network.
You got a whole network you can study from study yourself. But Keith Lee is a special talent, and they got they actually, it's interesting enough, they got a documentary of him now on the network that they just premiered. So I guess they're trying to build up in some way, let you know more about him and stuff. But you got to utilize the show too, man. You got to utilize the ring time that he has, because he's a physical freak. He's a great talent. You got to show him as a badass when he's in action on the ring. You can't just be like, oh, let's document him and show him as a personality or show his background. That's great to connect with him on that level. But when the time comes, when those bright lights are on Raw, you got to show him to be the man. Otherwise, you're just wasting.
You're good. Oh man, did he freeze up? I think he freezed up. Oh man, I think did he freeze up? Yeah, he froze. There we go. I'm like, hey, it was awkward. Like, okay, man, this ain't my show. I guess I should just keep looking and talking and everything.
No, I know, man. I guess something happened with the connection, but my last point just is that with a guy like Keith Lee, man,
you can't screw that up, man.
Yeah,
that dude's a once in a generation.
All you gotta do is just put him out there and let him work, man. It goes back to them being too controlling.
Yeah,
it's like just let your guys cook, man, and let them be the stars that they are. When you have a guy like that it's easy to pinpoint uh, what's the star about him. He's a big guy. He can talk. He's charismatic. The crowd likes his music, like you said.
Very good talker.
Just utilize that stuff and put him against your big people and make him look good against them. Don't make him look like a sucker. And
I've mentioned once this whole thing with Impact and AEW started and everything, and of course people ask me, "Man, is WWE in trouble? Is WWE in trouble?" And I said, right now, no, but where this is going, they are in big trouble because they've screwed up a lot of pushes for a lot of wrestlers that should be definitely major over. That as a fan base, we can't get invested because, we got invested with Shinsuke. I was watching his debut on SmackDown. I was like, man, I missed that Shinsuke. Like the crowd singing his music. Like, I missed that Shinsuke. You don't have that. Cesaro was over. You don't have that. Like, you don't have these guys that are over. So it's like, you know what? I'm going to go over there. And, one of my buddies asked me, so, how's WWE going to counter this? And I'm like, kind of take the quote from Scottie Pippen when he described the Detroit Pistons in '91. They just going to have to take the butt whooping. Like, I'm serious. They just going to have to take it. Because it's like you created your own competition.
Right. That's what happened in the '90s. They didn't get good again until they took that butt whooping, and WCW handed it to them, and then it was like, look, we have to build new people. We have to, and the funny thing is they built themselves off a guy who WCW gave up on in Austin.
Oh my God. I didn't think about that. That's awesome.
And see, and the thing is, and look who AEW has built themselves off of. They mostly built themselves off of former WWE guys. Yep. Beyond the elite guys, and beyond the elite guys, Omega got that title off of a former WWE guy who built himself up and built AEW up over the past year. So,
the scary thing is, the scary thing about AEW is that people compare they're like WCW. It's like, no. WCW wanted to put WWE out of business. Like there was, when you watched it, you could sense that like, we want you to go out of business. With AEW, they're focused on, we want to work with other promotions, just be the best product, which they're aware of WWE, but they're not giving them attention, which is a difference from what WCW did back in the 90s.
Yeah, they'll see them as a threat like that. Yeah.
They're like, they'll put themselves out of business. That's the approach that they have. It's like, they'll put themselves out, because
like you said, because I don't think the end game is putting WWE out of business. I think the end game with them is a sort of network and as an ecosystem of wrestling where everything is open. Everybody is open to work with everybody, and that includes WWE. I think their end game is eventually to be able to do shows and angles where everybody is involved from every channel and every promotion.
Yep.
And the fans see AEW is fan first. That's what has allowed them to get over and thrive in the past year plus now, is because they do put fans first. WWE is so much of the time it's about them doing stuff in spite of the fans. And it's why would you want to have that sort of antagonistic relationship with your fans? I don't know.
But it doesn't make any sense.
That's what they thrive on for some reason. It's like, I think they got it twisted when like years ago when Cena was in his prime.
Yeah.
And they had the Ghost Cena and the Cena sucks stuff, or when Kurt Angle, when they was doing the You Suck stuff, Kurt Angle, like, I think they got it twisted where it was like,
that's what wrestling fans want.
Yeah, that's what we want the fans to be dissatisfied on some level, because yeah, but that was also a time where they were the only option.
Yeah,
the only major option. And now that's not the case. So you got to adapt, man. You got to, and the messed up thing is that your leader is like 80 years old. So it's like,
and the sad thing is that the people that might take over, his daughter and son-in-law, have been influential with creative for the last 15 years. So it's like,
yeah, that is true. I'm a little bit more of the thinking that once Vince finally does step away, be it whether I guess he's not going to do it on his own. He's going to be forced out. The Lord may have to force him out. Yeah. But now I'm thinking more of more of the Lord forcing them out, because he doesn't have to. There isn't a vote involved with Vince, but I think Vince is probably he's going to work until he works, until he can't no more. And I think there would be some significant changes that happen. Maybe not as many, maybe not too much, but some significant changes I think would happen with Hunter and Stephanie being in control. But like you say, that's a good point that you make there. They're very much of an old school thinking too, because they've been working for so long in that company, and they haven't been out in other areas
out of their bubble.
Yeah, they haven't been out of their bubble. They haven't been out of that Connecticut bubble that they got up there. And so that makes a difference too. That they haven't, like I said, they're isolated from the rest of the world, and they may be more inclined to reach out than Vince is, but they're going to find some rude awakenings too if they ever did that. So,
yeah, because it's let's face it, they pretty much wiped out the European scene in Europe. They signed all the talent, put all the European promotions out of business. They wanted to do an NXT Japan and an NXT Mexico, and it's like, wait a minute, there's AAA in New Japan. Like, why would you? So it's like they have the reputation of they want to put everybody out of business. They want to be the only one in town.
They're colonizers.
Yeah. So
they want to be the colonizers of wrestling.
Yeah, it's like, and one thing to also keep in mind is that Adam Cole's contract goes up this year, or going into next year, July.
Yeah, I think I've heard of it. Yeah.
And I think Finn Balor's is coming up pretty soon. If this storyline picks up, and I came across an interview, I think I didn't mention it right now, but check out Renee Young. Oh, I forgot her name. Renee Paquette or something like that. Yeah. Check out her latest podcast with CM Punk, because I read the excerpt, and he basically said, there's more interesting wrestlers for me to wrestle in AEW than WWE.
But Punk said that?
Yeah. I was like, yeah, they took a thing out, and I read, I was like, yo.
Punk, you can he has a tendency to troll too. And we have to remember that Punk essentially utilized AEW to get another bag from either he got it from Fox or from WWE.
No, he got it from Fox. He got it from Fox. Okay, yeah. Because WWE didn't want him, but Fox wanted him because of ratings.
That's the thing, though. Fox had to have WWE had to sign off on it, though. So Fox did give him the bag, but WWE had to sign off on it, because if WWE didn't want him on that backstage show, they weren't going to put him on the backstage.
Well, you got to remember, Fox is paying WWE a lot of money, so WWE was kind of like backed in the corner, like, yeah, we kind of got to take this if Fox want him.
That's true.
They're paying us a lot of money, so it's like,
true. That's true, but I don't think he would have gone on that show if WWE was like, no, we're not dealing with him. Yeah. So, but again, he utilized AEW in a lot of ways, because they knew there was a possibility that he could have been at All have been All Out, because that was the first All Out show. Yeah, he could have been at All Out. So they had to size up the situation. Like,
yeah, but I know with Punk, he's like one of the reasons why he didn't initially sign was more. It makes sense. There's a new promotion. They don't have a track record, at least a year or 2 years track record. And they have a track record now. This angle, this is just starting it up. I wouldn't be surprised if in 2021 at some point he goes to AEW. I wouldn't be surprised, because if he has the ability to work with all these other promotions and stuff like that, that's something I think it's like, I only work one day out the week, get paid a lot of money, I can do whatever I want. Okay. And that's the thing about this angle, that it's of course, wrestling wise, man, it's so intriguing, but it's bigger when you look at it, how this can progress and steamroll and everything. It's like, man, this could change a lot of things if a few players start joining other promotions and stuff like that.
But one thing you got to watch out for, because and what you just said, something that stuck out to me was saying, "Oh, I could do whatever I want," and that could be cool. But one thing you don't necessarily want to do is line up a bunch of wrestlers and say you can do whatever you want once you get with us, because that's how you get what WCW had after '98, where you had a bunch of talents having creative control over their situation. And then when you came to them and said, we need you to do this and do this, then they were like, nah, I got creative control, so I ain't doing it. Kevin Nash and Goldberg and all of them was like, no, we don't want to do, I don't want to do that. I'm not letting this guy go over me. So, and then you had a bunch of stuff that steamrolled into that promotion. Now, it's a different situation because there was history involved there that isn't there yet with AEW, but it could be if you let the wrong people in and say, look, hey, you can do whatever you want here. Some people gonna look at that and be like, they gonna get the Birdman hands rolling. And
I wouldn't say
not gonna be as good of a thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't say let them do whatever they want, but it's more, okay, whatever you want to, like, for instance, Britt Baker, she's a doctor or a dentist, so she could still practice her dentistry. So whatever outside, businesses that you have and stuff like that, you can do that. Like the third party thing. Yeah, because creatively, like Jericho said on the Keep It 100 with Conan, like, we don't have a booker. Like, we sit and we put our match together, but Tony Khan is the final say so on everything.
Right.
Like, that's it. So as far as, like, they can do whatever they want, it's more what WWE doesn't let them do. Like that. Maybe I misworded that or something like that.
No. I could understand what you were saying.
So,
I just took it a different
I know, but you make a lot of, that's something also to keep in mind, that, you can't go into that, you got to learn from your history or you're doomed to repeat it.
Right. You can't let the guys overindulge and stuff.
Yeah.
But right quick though, that is important, like you say, letting people be them on social media and let them have control of platforms that they build up on themselves. That's a big difference between AEW and WWE, and it's something that they should put forward in their dealings with talent. Be like, look, you can be yourself with us, and you can make money in different ways and partner with us in ways that you can't with WWE. So that does make a difference, definitely. And as far as Tony Khan too, if Khan can be an authoritative figure who also has a progressive mind state, that's going to be big. He has to be a guy who has the authority to be able to say, look, this is the direction we're going to go, and trust in me because Cody and these guys trust in me, so I know which way we're going to go. But I'm also not good. I'm also going to be open to other ideas. I'm open to cross promotion and all that stuff. That's going to make him into a Vince McMahon, the Vince McMahon that we need today. The person who
he's going to be a hybrid of Vince and Bischoff. That's what it looks like. It's like, dude, well, the good thing is he's around our age. Like, he's pretty young. So it's like,
he's a young guy.
Okay, that's cool.
That's the thing. That's the thing. That's where the future is, and that's with stuff like this that we see today. I still wish they would have. It looks like they're gonna save it for the last segment, but I still would have. I would have put it right away at the top. But I at least had something. But apparently, let's go back to that because apparently they taped it. I read something today where they taped his segment on Saturday.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering like just how involved the segment is going to be because if you take it a couple days for post production, like they just what are they doing with this? You know, it piques my interest. You know,
that's the cool thing about this whole angle and just where it's happening now is that it's so many different angles. And one thing like I'm starting to realize is that listening to these podcasts that these wrestlers are on, a lot of their major influences is Marvel Comics, DC Comics, Game of Thrones, Star Wars, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings. So a lot of these, genres that have extensive storytelling and a good fan base,
their own universes and stuff.
Yeah. So they're like drawing bits and pieces from these genres and implement them into wrestling, which, of course we're like, that's stupid, but it's like, no, storyline wise, that's pretty smart. Because like you're gonna come up with some storylines that's gonna be like, man, I didn't see that coming. Like, how did that man? And we're the ones that's gonna benefit from it. I mean, I'm loving it because and I know you were there, during the Monday Night Wars and ECW, and it's like, man, I love this. Like, come on, bring this dude in. Like, this is cool.
Right. You had a time where you could watch, you turn in any week, any day, and you didn't know what was going to happen. You ain't know who's going to show up from one side to the other. You had a night where Rick Rude appeared on both shows.
Yes. I remember watching that and I was like, wait a minute, and I'm like, man, this is dope. And I like one thing that this guy, Nick Jackson, said in the podcast that he did. And he said that for too long, like pro wrestling has lacked unpredictability. He's like, when you can predict stuff, it's not, you just flip the channel, you just, all right, whatever. But when it's unpredictable, that's when you're like, yo, this is good. And, the unfortunate thing is, as a fan in fantasy booking, it would be so awesome if WWE got involved in this. Like, that would be, oh my God. Like, can you imagine a standoff between Kenny Omega and Roman Reigns?
Man.
At this time, just put them together. You ain't got to just, oh man, what is they're tweeting and stuff like, man, what's that? And, it's unfortunate that WWE just has that mindset. Like, we just want to control everything.
Right. Honestly, if that's going to happen, they got to control how it happens. But
yeah, and it's like, come on, man. And I think in the long run, that's going to hurt them because it's like you can only put Roman Reigns against Baron Corbin for so long. Roman Reigns versus Strowman. Dolph Ziggler versus and The Miz versus whatever tag team they got. You can only do that. Yeah. And the thing is, also in NXT, you can only have Finn Balor so long in NXT. He was there for 5 years. Then he went up for 2.5 years. Then you brought him back. So it's like,
your idea of refreshing him can't be go back to NXT. Like,
yeah,
it worked. It worked once, but it's not going to work again. So at some point, you got to put him up to your main show and make him into a big star. You can't just hide him on again. Again, we're going back to what we said on the what I said about a few minutes ago about NXT. You're hiding these guys, and you're making you're making them into bullet fodder for this war that you're doing a half-assed war, and you're making the NXT guys into they're the frontline guys who got to take the bullets, and it's like that they're more than that. They're your next stars. You got to make them into stars and show and show the wrestling community that you're up on what makes stars today and not just what made stars yesterday. Because the thing is, they can't. This is what I was trying to say earlier. Vince and those guys. They look at at people like the Undisputed Era and Keith Lee and all these guys who have been stars in NXT, Finn Balor and what, you know, they look at them and they say, okay, they have a popularity that wasn't built necessarily with us. Let's exploit that. But once they put them into the fold, they don't know how to make them into bigger stars.
Yeah.
So then they're like, okay, yeah, we'll just put you on NXT and we'll be good if 750,000 people watch you a week, as long as it's respectable against AEW. But if that's your ambition, that's why you're not only losing Wednesday nights, you're losing fans on Monday and Friday, because they don't get to see the best stars that you have, the best workers, the best up and coming talent that you have in your business. You're stashing them away on Wednesdays instead of letting them thrive on your shows.
It's interesting you bring that up. If you remember back in September, remember there was talk that USA Network wanted to move NXT on Tuesdays, right?
Yeah.
And WWE's like, no, I don't want to do that. What the hell's happening right now on Tuesday?
Now you can't even escape to Tuesday now.
It's like you had the opportunity to move NXT on Tuesdays, and everybody was saying, put it on Tuesdays. We hate this stupid competition between you and AEW. Like, put it on Tuesdays. It's better. It's like right after Raw, we want to control the industry. Look at what happened. Now people are tuning into Impact. Actually, literally, people are tuning into AEW Dark, NWA Showcase, which is also on Tuesdays.
Yeah, that's on now. Yeah,
and then Impact.
Yeah.
So you had an opportunity to do that, and it's like, come on. Now, if they're smart, this is something to actually think about, which is actually something they could think about if they don't want to have this war with AEW and stuff like that. If I were them, I would actually put NXT on Thursdays, and then right after, I would release NXT UK. Just have Thursday NXT, because that would make sense. But
Thursday, yeah, it was a while back. NXT was on Thursday show. They didn't. Yeah, that's the type. NXT UK is another, like you talking about them trying to expand into Japan and Mexico, do all this stuff, but you know that's probably too much. But what they have done with the UK show is established. They've allowed me and people like a lot of us in the US to see people like Walter. We wouldn't normally see. And Walter could be a freaking monster if you build him up, man. So again, there's it's another place where they're stashing talent, but eventually you got to make these guys into bigger deals, man, than they are. Or else they're gonna want to jump over to AEW. They're gonna want to jump to New Japan.
Yeah. Now, one thing that I'm seeing and just observing and stuff like that, and just the trends and stuff like that, is that the generation of wrestlers that, man, I want to go to WWE and main event WrestleMania. It's my, my childhood dream. That generation is shrinking.
Oh yeah.
So you're not getting that generation that wants to go to WWE. They're like, nah, I want to go with the group that's traveling 5, 6, 7 promotions and traveling the world.
Kids so now, look, in 5 years, what are kids going to be? Kids who grow up on wrestling, what are they going to be more impressed with? They're going to be more impressed with WrestleMania or Wrestle Kingdom.
Or All In 2.
Yeah, or All In. Yeah, what's good? Those All In and All In 2, those are going to be the main. Those are going to be those touch tone moments for them. Those memorable moments for them that they grew up on, and when they see the promotion out there who's still doing it, that gave them those moments, yeah, they're going to want to jump with them.
Yep,
because they look at WWE and say, oh, well, y'all ain't really had a good WrestleMania since The Rock, since Austin, and that's my dad's stuff, that's my uncle's stuff. Like,
and it's interesting you bring up The Rock, because they're, of course they're playing. It's obvious, and that's the bad thing about WWE is it's obvious that they want to put Roman Reigns versus The Rock. Okay, going into next year, we're more than likely, I mean, it's a 99% chance there's not going to be fans in any stands. So that's another WrestleMania that you can't put Roman Reigns versus. So you're literally going to have to wait till 2022 for your big, matchup with Roman Reigns and The Rock. That's almost a year and a half. You have these 5 promotions that are somewhat intermingling with each other. You have no idea what these companies are going to do. And they literally have the opportunity to pull the trigger, what you said earlier, as far as WWE pulling the trigger on the Bullet Club. They literally have the capability to reform the Bullet Club, the original Bullet Club, with Omega, Gallows, Anderson, the Young Bucks, Tama Tonga, Tangaloa, and Bad Luck Fale. That group outsold WWE merchandise at Hot Topics to the point where the guys at Hot Topics contacted WWE like, man, we want to extend this group that you guys got, the Bullet Club, and man, WWE, you guys are, and WWE literally had to say, yeah, that's not our group, like, no, that's not our merchandise. So it's like within this whole year, you have that possibility that this group can reform with 5 organizations and a possibility of another All-In 2, and it's probably going to be either in Jacksonville or Madison Square Garden. You can't take that chance. Like you need to be productive instead of counteracting, because if not, if in 6 months, this storyline picks up, WWE, like I said, they're in a rude awakening, and it's gonna be they're just gonna have to take that butt whooping.
That's just what I was gonna say. Like you said, they got to take that butt whooping, and in the meantime, we got a chance to see some really cool stuff, man. I like to hold on with you, man.
I know we gotta go. I want to finish watching this.
Yeah, but let's try to get back on Friday, man. Because I just labeled this wrestling talk, but I still want to let people know that I'm going forward with the Friday Night Fight show.
Okay,
and it's going to be a combination of wrestling talk and combat sports talk in general. So I'm going to try to get people on to talk about boxing as well and MMA and stuff. Just all these type of stuff that you can link together in combat sports. But wrestling is going to be the heart of the show. So I definitely, you're going to be a part of it with me, man. So I appreciate it.
Everybody wants me on their wrestling podcast. That's dope.
Well, you put yourself out there, man. Like,
I know. I love it. I love it.
And like you say, you could talk wrestling for a couple hours easy. So it's
my buddy Julio. Yeah, my buddy Julio called me the wrestling insider, since I'm listening to all these wrestling podcasts from actual wrestlers and people within the media, wrestling media, legit media, and stuff like that. They're like, man, you're like the insider, like the storylines and where it's arcing. It's like, I just pay attention. I'm a fan. But no, thank you so much, man. I really enjoyed this, and
man, I appreciate talking with you. As
I think after tonight we're gonna have more to talk about on Friday.
Oh, no doubt.
And I'm gonna text you. I'm gonna text you, yo, Omega and Gallo and Andersons. I told you.
I expect to see it. I hope they do something that makes you. I hope they do something that makes you tweet and text right away, because that's what you did last week. You as soon as that stuff happened, you was on the phone. So that's when they got something good.
Yeah.
That's when I know they got something good, when they make you tweet right away, or they did something good.
Oh yeah. And just before we finish and everything, we forgot to mention Sting set the record at Pro Wrestling Tees for the most T-shirts sold within 24 hours. Yeah. That's 61. I want to have that power.
It's crazy. Like, look, probably the three most talked about wrestlers this year all started before 1990. You look at Jericho, Undertaker, and Sting, and that's sort of it's it's a challenging thing, I would say, because it's a good thing and a bad thing. But the fact is, you got these icons, and these are people who are worthy of our attention still. And two of them now are on AEW. They ain't gonna get the third one.
Nah, he's. I think he's going to NXT as a trainer.
Yeah, I heard. Yes, I saw that too today.
Yeah. So that helps him.
Which, yeah. I mean, look, if you want someone to teach you about psychology and performing big matches, and like the Undertaker's the guy to teach you, man. So that's gonna be interesting to see. But
I'm looking at Impact right now. I was like, ooh, okay.
Your looks are killing me, man. It's like every time you look like that, I'm looking at the TV now. but
oh man.
But my final thought, I was just gonna say, like, look, AEW got two of those guys now, and they got some young guys popping. They got a guy like Omega who they brought him back alive now, and he can make a difference in regards to the way that things are perceived. And look, the thing with Omega is that Omega really hasn't popped in America yet. He's sort of like an X Factor. So
you can see it bubbling.
Yeah, you really get him over in America, then you got, like I said, the matches are crazy that you can have with him, and him and Moxie have already shown that they got good chemistry.
Him and Nick Aldis.
Yeah, Aldis, but the guy's just at AEW now. Like,
yeah,
put him with Jericho, put him with Darby Allin, put him with Cody. Like, you could have the battle again. Like, the thing with Bullet Club is that
there's unfinished business.
Yeah,
there's this huge
Club, the battles within Bullet Club are just as good as Bullet Club battling people outside of Bullet Club.
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned that. Tama Tonga tweeted that. He posted a picture of Omega. There's unfinished business. He posted a picture of Cody. There's unfinished business. And remember, I've been saying this for like most of this year. I'm like, hey, Bullet Club is gonna go to AEW one way or another because there's a storyline it's literally there. They don't even have to tell it. Like, it's,
and I'm just thinking, like, that's really what the one thing that we've missed this year, because New Japan hasn't been on TV in America like that. And they went off of Access earlier in the year, and we had the pandemic, which has kept the American wrestlers from traveling to Japan and back and forth like we want. So if this year could end with some type of Bullet Club presence on AEW, that would be the biggest coup I think that they could make. Out of a year of making big moves already, if they could end the year with that, that'll be so promising for 21.
Man, honestly, I was a huge fan of when Hogan turned and the NWO, but that would be bigger than the NWO. Like that, because not like NWO was supposed to be an organization that wanted to take over WCW, but like the Bullet Club represent like Ring of Honor, NWA, like they represent 5 companies.
But Bullet Club was like the NWO was like, there's like like they were just upfront about what they were doing. Bullet Club is like spies. They infiltrated everything.
It's like, bruh. Yeah. So, man, thank you so much for this, man. I was looking forward to this on Friday. I was like, all right.
I know Sunday, you were, man. We could have done this early. We could have done this early. I'm glad. I knew you wanted to. I knew you wanted to do this. So I wanted to make sure that we did something tonight. But like let's try to get back on Friday and see what up, because this is still a good week, because again you got the TLC is on Sunday, and I want to talk a little bit more about Roman and stuff, but also they're gonna be another NWA show this week. I want to talk a little bit about NWA too, and because like you said, they have a role potentially that they could play with Impact and AEW. They're really closer to it than anybody else right now. They're closer than Ring of Honor is, because Ring of Honor is sort of doing its own thing right now. That's true. I want to talk about some of these other promotions too, like Ring of Honor. They brought back the Pure Championship and stuff. And they've been doing some interesting things. And also, and MLW, man, you know, MLW may be my favorite promotion right now, man.
And a lot of those guys are on Dark. AEW Dark.
They've been on Dark. Yeah, they have been on Dark. Pillman and look, but MLW on its own, like they put together a great hour of wrestling and they got their show going back now.
Contra.
Too. Yeah, Contra. Yeah. They got some.
See, I've been watching.
I'm glad you've been watching, man. I want to talk about MLW too. They got some heavy hitters, man. And I say everything is back now. Everybody, you know, they're doing the closed-in shows too now. MLW and NWA and Ring of Honor. They're doing the closed-in shows. So, but they're putting out new shows, which is good. So we're getting back to some regularity now, and the you know, because for a while it was nothing. All these promotions were doing these recap shows, and they were rerunning shows from earlier that they were doing. But now they could get back to running new storylines and stuff again. It's good to see.
So the ones who benefit from it is the wrestling fans.
That's right.
I might be hinting towards something with my shirt.
I see. No doubt.
But thank you, man. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it, and I enjoyed this. And,
thank you, bro.
I know we're going to be doing more of these. Man, I'm going to be doing a lot of podcasts.
Hey, man, you got the juice, man. You got the juice.
Thank you.
Look out for Desiree in 2021. Look out for Friday Night Fights.
Hey, Sami Callihan's on.
Sami Callihan is crazy, man.
Oh shit! All right, let's cut it. Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. We got some rest to watch.
I'll let you later, man.
All right, man.
All right, this is it. There we go.